Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the After Maghrib Podcast. We are here. It is Valentine's week, so we've got a lot to talk about, brothers and sisters. So if you love this podcast, smash that subscribe button. If you like what we're doing, you're new to the channel, tune in, but I'd say smash the subscribe button as well, because inshallah you'll get to see more of what we're doing, and inshallah we'll be able to talk about more things. Do you have a Valentine's this year? Are you planning to ask anyone? If you are, hopefully you're in a halal relationship. There's a lot to talk about today, inshallah, but also we're going to talk more about the concept of love in Islam. But before we do that, as always, my wonderful co-host, Sayed Ali Radhawi. We're spotting, we're shaking.
That's a bit of both, 50-50.
It feels like years since we've done a pod together, just you and me.
Yeah, we've been blessed with so much guests.
Alhamdulillah.
That's the beauty of the podcast, is that we can have more people joining the conversation. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Last week there was 3 of us, the week before there was 4 of us, and now it's back to the OGs.
Back to 2.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Brothers, before we go any further, we just want to talk quickly about the tragic event that took place, of course, in the last week in Turkey and Syria. The earthquake, which of course has left over 28,000 people dead and over 100,000 people injured. Firstly, offering our condolences on behalf of Ahlul Bayt TV and the After Maghrib team to the Imam of our time and to the Islamic Ummah, and just generally to those who have been affected. This is not something which we should take lightly. You know, we see natural disasters, we see war, we see famine all the time, unfortunately, in the day and age we live in. But this is one of the largest, if not the largest, earthquake in modern history. So this is something which we all have a duty to respond to. There's a hadith from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, one who does not wake up and is concerned about the state of the ummah is not from our ummah. So inshallah we can all try to make some change. You can support the cause with the Hope Appeal, who of course are partnering for this podcast and who are partnering in the aid relief work taking place on the ground. So do check out, the link is in the bio, and also check out the Instagram. Say anything to add?
No, just condolences, and I just can't imagine like losing family in that situation. It's something hard, something difficult, and inshallah we never face something like this.
Inshallah,
and whoever's facing this, may Allah give you the patience, and inshallah you find relief from all of this very soon.
Ahsant. It's just something which I think is very hard to swallow, especially after you become, I mean, for me personally, when I became a parent, I tried to see the world differently, and I think it comes naturally. And before you hear about, someone told me actually who works in the same building as me in my office, he said to me, I became a parent, and before I became a parent, I would see something like that as a sad moment, a tragic moment. After he became a parent, he started to empathize with the people who are going through this kind of thing, and he would imagine the world differently, and he would imagine what he would do in that situation. And I think that hit me as well. So inshallah we can try and do that, because at the end of the day we love those around us, and we love what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. And that kind of is, I know it's Valentine's Day and we were cracking jokes and so on, but at the same time that's what we want to talk about: love in Islam, love in life, love in relationships. Where do we begin?
We begin with, I think, a question many ask, is it haram or halal to fall in love? Like, what's going on there? How do we answer that?
What do you think?
Well, simply, falling in love is not haram. Let's be honest. You know, Islamically, I think the whole religion is like built on love at the same time.
Yeah.
And Allah always emphasizes in the Quran using love and mercy and tranquility and all these special keywords, if I can say, that are built on love. There's nothing wrong with falling in love as long as it's with your spouse. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah.
Not with any Tom, Dick and Harry, inshallah, Haidar and Fatima, whoever these people are.
Yeah.
And, we are human at the end of the day. We all have feelings. We want to feel like an emotional attachment to someone. That's what makes us human.
Yeah.
And Allah has put that feeling in us as human beings. And it's just important to make sure we can control it, to be in love, inshallah, with our spouse.
Inshallah. You know, Valentine's Day, obviously, as a concept, I don't really know too much. I maybe should have researched before, but about the concept and the history of Valentine's Day. But obviously, in secular society that we live in now,
It's good for business.
It's a commercialized thing, right? So it's a day where you buy your wife or your husband a gift and you tell them how much you love them. It's really, realistically speaking, this is something we should be doing on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we should be waking up and going to sleep and reminding our partners, not just our partners, but just generally your children, your parents, your grandparents, whatever it might be, your siblings even. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you care about them, that they mean a lot to you. And don't just you do lip service and say it on the surface. Like, actually tell them, I don't know where I'd be in my life without you. You know, we mentioned, like, at the beginning of the year, about New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
And my resolution was, and alhamdulillah, so far I'm getting a bit better, but to be more, like, conscious of my loved and dear ones close to me. And you know what it is that like made me think of that? It's this thing where it's like a picture of a screenshot where it shows dad is calling or mum is calling or grandmother or grandfather, whatever it is ringing. And the caption is, imagine if the next time you got this was the last time you ever received a call from a family member.
Oh my.
And it hit me like, whoa, that was a bit out of the blue. And it's a bit dark and whatnot, but it made me think like, well, you know, we have limited time on this earth, and love is something that's highly recommended. And, you know, so we should express our love. We shouldn't be shy of it.
Indeed. And you know, Valentine's, there's always this question, you know, is it haram?
Yeah.
Is it? I personally, Valentine's is a day where, you know, people try to mark their love with their partners. Now, as Muslims, for us, that's with our spouses, inshallah. And there's nothing wrong, you know, in showing love, affection, you know, gifting your spouse something, or, you know, telling her or you telling him how much you love each other. I think it's important. And it's part of parcel of what makes like a happy relationship, a happy marriage, and a happy foundation. I know we have every day to tell our spouses, for example, I love you or you love me, whatever it is. Best that one day that's dedicated to your love for one another, I think that's something beautiful. You know, as long as we're not falling into sin, and it's within the Islamic frameworks, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Let me ask you a question, okay?
Yes,
a lot of people say, you know, when I say I'm going to ask you a question, it's coming. A lot of people say, how can you fall in love with someone and then marry them, especially in Islamic parameters, in the current day and age of finding a spouse? How are you expected to marry the one you love? Do you see what I mean?
You know, it's a tricky one, because the thing is, how do you fall in love in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, there's like steps before you actually can say, I fell in love. And I think if you love someone and you want to, inshallah, marry them, I think you should question yourself, is it love or is it lust?
Lust, yeah.
Because they're two different, completely separate things.
Completely.
You know, you can love someone for their character, you can love someone for their akhlaq, you know, not for their tattoos, biceps and six packs, whatever it is. But realistic, that's what you should love them for. If that's what the love is, maybe inshallah take it to step towards marriage. But if it's for something else, for beauty and whatnot, that's not love at all, Ahmed. That's lust. And lust is dangerous. And it's a step towards zina. And we know the Quran states, you know, and do not come close to zina, for it is a shameful and evil act. So if we ponder on that verse, that's lust. Because what makes you go towards that path, for example? Lust, not love. Two completely different things.
I think it's interesting because, let's be real, I have a few bones to pick, okay? Just with the youth in general, including myself.
Okay.
Firstly, people say don't get married young. I disagree, personally speaking. To save yourself from doing haram, whether it's looking at the opposite gender, acting on it, or whatever it might be, get married young. It will save you from that. You'll also be young enough to learn from each other, be malleable enough to mold each other's personalities and characteristics, and grow together. You learn about the world.
Young.
How old were you when you got married?
I remember so much people telling me, Ali, you're so young. You know, you're so young. Are you sure you want to do this?
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
So I did my aqd nikah. I think I was 19. If I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Either 19 or 20.
MashaAllah.
I hope the wife ain't listening. I should remember this. It's either 19 or 20 years old.
So I think I had just turned 23 and I thought I was young. I was fresh out of university and so on. But at the end of the day, getting married young means that you don't marry the one you love the one you marry. Because what will happen is you marry someone,
you grow together,
you grow together, you develop a genuine, true heartfelt relationship with one another, and you learn about the world. You'd rather go. I will say with pride now, I would rather go through hardships of this world with the one I love, with my companion, with my wife, and that helps me as a man. When I go and face the world, I'll take the lessons I've learned with my wife and apply that to the world around me. And you know, there's a hadith from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he says, searching for what will improve you is not considered love of the dunya, of the world. So when you search for someone that will improve you as a Muslim, as a person, a man of God or a woman of God, that's not love of the world. It's not selfish. It's love of Allah. And that love of Allah, it's a three-way relationship in a marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the top of the triangle, metaphorically speaking. And then husband and wife are the two bottom points. It's a triage, a relationship of three entities, three parties in a marriage. And at the end of the day, inshallah, when you step into a relationship like that, it will help you in the long run.
It does. And you know, speaking about marriage and love and affection, there is a beautiful verse, and everyone always recites it whenever it comes to, for example, you know, marriage gatherings or reception or the nikah, whoever it is. And I think it's fair that we mention it.
Yeah.
I can read it. It's from the Holy Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Chapter 30, verse 21. And of his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them. And he placed between you affection and mercy. Look at that keyword. Affection and mercy. Indeed, these are signs for people who give thought. So, you know, we are social beings at the end of the day. And God is saying he created for you spouses from among yourselves, and he instilled in you what? Mercy, affection, love, tranquility.
Yeah.
So automatically, there's nothing wrong in falling in love. If we can go back to that first question. If Allah is saying he will do this to you with your spouse, you can fly the skies. Honestly, there's no point in going searching for fake love and ruining your life, you know. If you're in school, you know, I really fancy this person or I really like this person. And the problem with shaitan is that when you're in love, I think
it's infatuation.
You lose everything else. You become blind. Have you heard of blind love?
Yeah.
You literally become blind.
Yeah, you can't infatuated.
And you can't find fault in anything.
Yeah.
Even they may be the most, worst of characters, the worst of human beings. But the problem is if you fall in love with the wrong person, you become blind. You lose sight of everything. You lose sight of what's right. You don't know what's wrong. Like, you lose control. So it's very important. As Muslims, we have to mention, although we're speaking about falling in love being halal and legit and everything, but as a Muslim, you should be careful of how and to whom you fall in love with. Because you can't control your feelings at the end of the day. Scientifically, biologically, bro, it's there. If you love someone, you love them. Just like if you hate someone, you hate them. It's automatic.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, in my opinion, the core of love is trust. And loyalty, you know, so when you truly love someone, you love your parents, you trust them, you know, you trust what they tell you, trust what they teach you and guide you. If you love your spouse, it's because you trust them. You know that they have your best interests at heart. You love your children, it's because you love them out of mercy and affection in the same sort of way you're saying. At the end of the day, I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us like that. It's okay to be a warm, cuddly person. You know, it's okay to show love, to show affection. Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best example of this. You know, the love he showed not just to his beloved wife, especially Sayyidah Khadija salamullahi alayha, but of course to other wives, but specifically also to people around him. How many hadith we have about the Holy Prophet, the way he would treat the orphans or the children, how he would kiss their heads.
Love is not just with your spouse.
It's not just with your spouse.
Love is literally, I think, for the sake of Allah, you can love everything. Honestly, like you mentioned, orphans. We can give the example of the poor, even brothers.
100%. I love you, bro.
I love you more than just the sake of Allah. just to make that clear. Mashallah, you are a lovely person.
Habibi Zayd.
But I think it's a verse. I don't want to misquote it. I'll paraphrase it. It's that you should love your brothers, and if there's an issue between you and your brothers, you should fix it, basically. So I don't know the full translation of it, but I paraphrased it. It shows important how loving to your brother you should be. And that, as a Muslim, that's amazing. Because no other religion has that brotherhood and the ummah feeling and that love feeling, all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You know, there's a hadith from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he says there's a place in paradise called the house of happiness, and no one is allowed to enter it except those people who cheered up the children, who made children happy,
Allah.
who cheered them up. You know, of course, the holy month of Ramadan is approaching.
Yeah.
And this is like a month where we are encouraged to give, especially to the aitam, to the orphans, and of course now we talked about the earthquake and so on. How many children are there like really suffering? And it doesn't even have to be children suffering. Like children in the community, kids at mosque running around. Don't tell them off. Kids are kids. You know, my perspective on this has changed big time since I've become a dad, alhamdulillah. But, you know, like the first 7 years of their life, the hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen, let them do what they want. Let them be as the master, as the hadith says. Not obviously, it doesn't mean you bow down to your kids and follow their
let them control their life.
Yeah, they're children.
The way
they're
they
experiencing,
play,
they're loving, they're learning.
they make a mess.
Yeah, you know that like very cliche Instagram.
I face that daily.
Have you heard that thing? Live, love, laugh.
Live, love, laugh.
It's like a phrase people is very cliche. Very, very cliche. But I like that. And when it comes to specific examples of like kids, love them, laugh with them, live, let them live basically, like enjoy it, So there's examples for us. We can love the right things. We can love our brothers. We can love our spouses, children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost.
Just don't love this dunya.
I was going to say, there's the wrong things to love. What happens when you love the dunya, Sayyid?
Wallah, you become detached from Islam, realistically, because you now go to attain materialistic yearning.
Yeah.
And that's something that becomes dangerous, where you can forget the reason of you being on this earth. Allah created you from nothing. What's that verse? Is it a verse or is it a hadith? Where we created you from
a drop.
From a drop.
Yeah, it's not in the Quran.
Yeah, so it goes along those verses. You are here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not chase this dunya. Because when you chase this dunya, you are doing nothing apart from damaging your hereafter.
And the thing is... Sorry, Sayyid, go
on. No, you continue.
The love of the dunya is like drinking from the ocean. When you drink seawater, you think you're quenching your thirst. In reality, you're becoming more thirsty.
Yes.
The love of the dunya, the more you acquire, the more you attain, whether it's the opposite gender, whether it's money, whether it's success, fame, power, reputation. These things are superficial. They're material.
Yep.
What really we should be seeking is a love which is tangible in the spiritual sense, not tangible in the physical sense. When you tangibly gain material things, possessions, people, things like that, you will never feel content with what you've gained. But if you love something for the sake of God, you realize it's come from God, it will return to God, and you're going to leave this world with nothing of that, then we understand purpose, we understand value. At the end of the day, love in Islam is a value-based proposition.
Yep.
You love something based on the value it will be in the dunya and the akhirah. We don't just love something for the sake of the dunya. If that was the case, then the biggest tyrants in human history wouldn't be remembered as tyrants.
Love your neighbors, love nature, love everything.
Yeah.
It's a nice reminder, the fact of having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because the world is full of hate. Like everyone hates everyone.
Yeah,
everyone
100%.
wants to astaghfirullah, kill everyone. Everyone wants to rob everyone. Baba, if you just show some love, some compassion, the world will be in a better place.
Let me ask a question. Can you love out of hate?
You can.
Or can you hate out of love?
Yes, you can. For
How?
the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay.
Because as Muslims, realistically, you need to love for the sake of Allah and hate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I can give an example, one I think that many of our viewers can relate to, I'm going to go far away. I'm going to go, subhanAllah, every conversation we have to go back to Karbala. For an example, we always end up on the day of Ashura. That's how much lessons we can derive from the 10th of Muharram. But for example, if we were there at that moment where we had to choose between Hussein and Yazid, Hussein alayhi salam. We all say, إن سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. There's a reason behind all of these sayings that we say. As Shia, as Muslims, is that we will love you, Ahlul Bayt, for the sake of Allah. And we will not stand with your enemies. We will disassociate from them for the sake of Allah. You got to choose. Either you pray behind Ali or you eat food with Muawiyah. These are sort of things where you can find true love and disassociation for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Haqq, batil, these sort of things. I wanted to mention this because I think it's an example that the viewers and listeners can relate to.
No, it's true. And you look at the story of Karbala, subhanAllah, like you say, you mentioned
Everything
one,
goes back to Karbala.
it spills out. There's so many examples. You talk about Haram,
Subhanallah.
Ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, for example, who loved about Abdullah al-Hussein, and he loved Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra specifically.
Yeah,
we know this
yeah,
from
yeah,
hadith,
yeah.
to the point where he sacrificed himself, selflessness, for the sake of Allah. And then you look at Umar ibn Sa'ad as an example. What was he promised? The land of Ray, wheat farms, all that rubbish. Can you and what did Abu Abdullah tell him? He goes, by Allah, even if you defeat me, even if you slaughter me, you will not touch or you will not benefit one grain of wheat from that promised land that you've been promised. And even with that promise, this is the grandson of Rasulullah, you know, the Hujjah on earth. Even with that, he's like, nah, I'm gonna take the risk. It's not worth it. You know, I've got wealth waiting for me.
That's Hubb al-Dunya.
Hubb al-Dunya.
Like you would go and, you know, be part of the tragic, murderous, vicious attack on the family of Rasulullah just for a piece of land.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Crazy.
It's absurd.
It's
And
crazy.
he was related, of course. You know, there's like, it's just mind blowing. Anyway, getting back to the topic.
Yeah.
Before you know it, start doing Musibah, we're all in tears.
Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein.
Honestly, it's crazy. What are we saying? So love, yeah, Valentine's Day. What's the plans?
Wallah, Valentine's Day, I think, is a day a lot of people run away from.
Okay.
But a lot of people look forward to. Yani people run away from because they're just too shy to show love to their spouse, for example. Every time I'm going to talk about love, or whenever we talk, I want people to imagine you and your wife. Don't imagine some random boyfriend, girlfriend concept. I just want to make that very clear.
If there's anyone out, let me make this like abundantly clear, because I know by the time this airs, this is going to be post Valentine's Day. If you asked anyone who's not in a halal relationship with you to be your Valentine's, bro, you need to rethink your life, man. I'm so sorry. Like if you're young, you're old, whatever it is, wherever stage in life you are, I beg you, please do not make that mistake. I know time has passed, and by the time it is, it's what, like 16th of February or something?
I think 14th, 15th. Yeah, 16th.
Yeah, 16th. Guys, please, for the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's a very easy mistake to slip into.
No, just coming back to the point now, and thanks for making that clear. Imagine someone just like clips down and goes mental with it. Don't be shy from showing love and affection with your spouse. Yeah. I don't know about ladies, but I'm just going to chat to the guys here. But realistically, a lot of guys feel like it's like unmanly to tell your wife, I love you. And they find it very difficult. Wallah, I don't understand this. I'm not saying I'm good at it. We all try to show love in the best ways that we can. But don't feel shy to tell your own wife, I love you. Because look, Allah allows you to be romantic with your spouse. You can't be romantic with your nan. You can show love.
Yeah.
But romance and things like that is for your spouse only.
Make her feel good.
And you know how much reward goes into showing love and affection with your spouse? You know, even like we always hear stories the way Ali used to talk about Fatima. Or Rasulullah used to talk about, Khadija. Or, we have many examples where, for example, Ali would help Fatima out of love. Not because it's her role at home, for example. No, because he loves his wife, Fatima al-Zahra. So he would help her out at home, for example. These are small things. Don't be shy from them. I know probably you have mothers out there saying, don't do this, you're a guy, she needs to do it for you. But small things here and there, wallah, if you help at home, show some love.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know what it is.
Sometimes it's the smallest things that go the furthest. All of us, I'm talking to the husbands out there, but all of us can kind of, I think, show compassion in different ways. Like, for example, if you think about it, especially like husbands. I don't know about you, Sayed, but for me, my list of tasks is always available for me. I'm always, I need to remember I need to take out the bins, or I need to put the things in the dishwasher, or this, wherever it is. And I love my wife and I thank her because she obviously keeps me active and productive. But at the same time, when you go a bit above and beyond, it shows compassion through that. Have you heard of the love languages? 5 love languages.
The 5 love languages.
I'm just gonna check it out. Okay. Do you want?
I know there was a book that talks about this. I haven't read it, but I remember coming across a show. I think it was actually on Ahlul TV. Where this book was mentioned.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So basically, there's 5 love languages, and everyone falls in at least one category.
Okay.
All right. So you might have 2 love languages or 3. Right. So the first one is words of affirmation. Tell them, look, you're the one I love. I don't want anyone but you. Some people find that as their love language. They really appreciate that. The second one is quality time. Sitting with them, spending time with them, speaking with them, giving gifts. Valentine's Day, everyone getting the flowers ready, the chocolates ready. But gift giving for a lot of people is a way of love. Like, it shows that you've gone out of your way and done something.
Yeah.
Acts of service. This, for me, I think is the most valued. This is what I value the most. When someone puts in time, effort, and thought, like, and they find a way to serve themselves to you, like, that's the truest form of love. And obviously physical touch as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about like husbands telling wives I love you. Don't be afraid to hug her, kiss her, yani, like, show her that you're a man who can love. You're a man who's strong, you're firm, you're not a pushover, you're not weak, you're masculine. And masculinity comes with compassion. Like, we're taught, and there's guys out there like Andrew Tate, I'm going to drop that, who's so disassociated with women, and there's guys who look down on women derogatorily and stuff like that. Bro, who do you think you are? Show your wife some love. Respect her for who she is. But be a man. Like, be masculine. You can be masculine and make your wife feel good physically, emotionally. Like, there's ways to do it. But you won't know that. You won't know how to unlock her heart unless you get to know her. Do you know what I mean? So understand your wife, these different love languages. I think it's a really nice.
So how would one unlock the heart?
Say it. This. Let me teach you a lesson. I'm joking.
Please.
No. Astaghfirullah. Obviously, everyone you got to know your partner. And it can be anyone. Like, you could be married for 30 years and still struggle to understand your spouse. But there's a reason why Allah has placed you with that person. Even if, I'll be honest, some people may have a horrible time on Valentine's, fighting, or you're arguing. You may not be happy in your marriage. I told my wife actually a few days ago, I said, I know that there must be a good percentage of my friends who may be unhappy in their relationships. It's natural. Of course it's natural.
There's many.
Yeah, of course.
There's many. And the biggest problem where all of these issues stem from is not showing love. I can guarantee you this. Because if you know how to respectfully show love, not just, hey, I love you, and you're trying to get some affection back, it doesn't work like that. You have to be soft. You have to, show your love, because actions do speak louder than words. But forget the actions. People can't even say the 3 words, I love you. Yeah. And that just drives me crazy. As human beings, if you are married to someone, let's say, and you don't tell your wife that I love you, who are you telling I love you to? Wallah, sometimes I question. And if you're not saying it to your wife, who are you saying you love?
Because men have that energy. Men need to give love, whether it's physically, with their words, whatever it is. Okay? If a man is not doing that, then there's a problem.
There's an issue with
There's an issue. Like, either he's distracted. Okay? It's completely real. It's a real issue. They're distracted online. They're distracted with someone else they've got their eyes on, or they're just disinterested, not interested at all. But either they have lost interest, or they've got their interest elsewhere. That's a problem. I something that just made me smile yesterday. I was at my parents' house, and shout out to my parents if they are listening, which I don't know if they are. But my dad, may Allah bless him, it was something really sweet, and I learned from it. He just said to my wife, his wife, not my wife. He said to his wife, i.e. my mum, to make things clear, he said to him, he goes, is this a new dress? She's like, yeah. She's like, it looks really nice on you. I like the colour. I was like, wow. And he touched the material. He's like, this looks really nice. I like it. It looked really good. It's a small thing. It's like a small thing. And she's like, oh, thank you. But obviously,
that will mean the world. It will mean the world.
I observed that. And like you see on TV shows and stuff like that, like on these dramas and stuff, people, like, women will do their hair, their makeup, and the guy walks past, he doesn't notice. It's a cliche example.
Yes.
But that attention to detail, it means a lot to a woman. It really, really does. And that, I think, it, like we said, can be expanded and extended beyond awareness, like, of your surroundings. So your children, showing love to them. Like, if they've gone to school, come back, ask them, how's your day? What did you do? Tell me. Talk to your grandparents. Find out how they live their lives and what lessons they can do. That's love. It's a form of love. And then you extend it even more, and you have the awareness of God. Like, Allah's loving me because He's giving me the breathing oxygen I have and the sleep I get and all of that. So inshallah, we can try and think of ways to be a bit selfless. You know what I mean?
Inshallah. And I think it's important. And I think it's fair to add, and I think I should mention this, is that a lot of people just don't have time to show love.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have the wrong excuses. And that excuse is, for example, I haven't slept well, or I'm too busy at work, or for example, I'm going to the mosque.
Yeah.
Like I give an example. There's, wallah, we'd love everyone to go to the mosque. But sometimes you need to be with your wife.
100%.
You can't be at the mosque 24/7. Wallah al-azim, I've read numerous hadiths and stuff, and these are all coming directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where you being at home with your wife at times is more rewarding than going to the mosque
an ibadah.
and worshipping and doing sujood. There is so much reward in spending quality time at home with your wife.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people find an
where there's
excuse
quality as well.
where they just disappear, and then they expect somehow the wife to be a robot and like everything's hunky-dory at home, and they expect 100% love and attention and everything, whereas you are doing nothing.
Yeah.
You are doing nothing apart from what? Pretending you're a man. Wallah, I don't think you're a man if you have no love for your missus, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
It makes you manless, makes you loveless, careless, vicious. Like I can go on with all these rhymes.
The poet side of Sayed Ali Radhawi slipping out nicely.
I should write a romantic poem. Astaghfirullah. But on the level, and if we want to be real, what makes you a man is being a man.
Yeah.
Showing
100%.
that love, showing that compassion, being merciful. Sometimes khataya, so much issues arise between spouses is because they don't have this rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, I will instill in you what? Tranquility and mercy between the spouses. Now imagine if we can't show love, that means we have no mercy. Again, we're back to problem, square one. Everything stems in love between spouses. That's something I've observed. And alhamdulillah, sometimes brothers, they find trust that they can have conversations with. That's why I give all these examples. It's because it always stems from this, is that they can't even say I love you, or they're too shy to tell their wife I love you, or respond to I love you back, for example, because their mum is there. For them, it's like a competition. Like I don't want to say I love you in front of my mum.
Yeah.
Bro, what are you talking
It's
about?
crazy, it's crazy.
Or,
I mean, your mum, or obviously it could be anyone, and but obviously the mum is the main thing people talk about. But your mum should feel so loved by you that there's no feeling of competitiveness,
Ahsant.
and your wife should be as well.
Ahsant,
and
ahsant.
there's something interesting talking about this mother-wife dynamic. I read, and a friend actually told me as well.
By the way, I wish we had the sister in here to join this conversation.
Right.
Because I just feel like we're aiming at the
guys,
boys.
if you're watching, especially the sisters, drop something in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, something about, just really quickly, and I think we should start to wrap up, but there's that thing, should I listen to my wife or listen to my mum? I have a duty to my wife, but my mother's my mother. You know what the Islamic response is? Neither. Don't listen to any, unless one is with haqq, you have to go there. So you follow haqq, you don't follow a person. Do you get what I'm saying? And of course, you can apply that concept to anything in life. Wherever the truth is, follow the truth, and the truth will guide you to Allah.
Ali is with the truth.
Yeah, Ali is
Every
with
time you
and
mention the truth, I
Ali.
have to say this.
Ahsan. Let me see your hoodie, quick ones. Oh, yes.
Ali.
Let's get a close up on that. Let me get a close up on
Does
that.
it show?
Beautiful.
Ali.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, Ali.
Said any
Ya
last
Ali.
words?
Well, that's Ali because of my name. I haven't put Ali.
I
have to be honest.
What's that thing? Ma Sada Chana Dunya. Ali Ma Lo Dunya.
Ali lo ma Ali ma chan hada din.
See?
Along those lines.
MashaAllah.
There's not my poetry,
Ala
someone else's
Ahmed
poetry. Any
Let's,
last words? Can I ask you a question
Yes.
before we actually wrap up this conversation? But maybe you don't want to answer. It's completely up to you, Ahmed.
Sorry?
It's completely up to you if you don't want to answer the question, but I think it's nice to share this out of love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How often do you tell your wife I love you?
Are you being honest?
I'm being very honest.
Put her on the spot, Sid. I'm blushing.
I hope she's listening.
If I'm honest, and I hope, this is, I don't want to get too, but I definitely tell her a number of times a day. That's me. And I hope that continues. I hope it's not just lip service. I hope it doesn't come across.
There you
like
go.
that,
So for every man that's out there listening and watching this, Ahmed, I can guarantee you, is manly. He's a man. He's a definition of what makes you a man. And if you can tell your wife, inshallah, I can do the same. If you can tell your wife numerous times, maybe not every day, throughout the week, for example, wallah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, it does. 100%.
Don't be shy. You are still a man. And I always hear this. I don't feel manly love.
No, not at all.
Can I ask you another question?
Fadal.
Unless you want to ask me a question, I don't mind.
You go first. Well, I think of one.
Okay. Okay, I'll ask you. The other question I was going to ask is, do you think one should fall in love, then get married? Or can you also get married and fall in love? Because a lot of people,
Yeah, go on.
you know, because the reason why I want to ask this, because I have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I have some who, you know, really loved someone and went to ask for their hand. And I have some who, and the marriage went great.
Yeah.
Some just went to disaster. But at the same time, you have those who have never met their spouse.
I don't think one.
They've been recommended.
Yeah.
You understand? And down the line, they just couldn't find love. Some, the majority did. Alhamdulillah, they're still together. But down the line, they always say this, I like her. I like her because she's the mother of my kids. I respect her because she's from a respected family. But they can't like genuinely say, I love her.
Right.
It becomes hard for them to say, I love her. I don't know. It's like, where do you find the balance?
I think the way people search for spouses is wrong. Sometimes. Instead of finding someone and finding out whether you lust after them or you love them, don't look for that. Look for qualities that you love.
Yeah.
So you might love a quality or a characteristic about someone. For example, a sister may say to you, my hijab is very important to me. A sister may say, I look forward to becoming a mother and raising a family.
Beautiful.
A sister might say something like that, and to you as a man, that might be like, wow, I admire that, I love that.
Allah
quality.
bless all those sisters out there.
Inshallah. You know, I had a friend who, may Allah bless him with a noble wife, inshallah. He was looking for a spouse.
Ameen.
And a sister, he was referred to him, like, you know, someone referred to him or whatever. He doesn't know the sister. But before they start speaking, you know, someone told him, they're like, look, the sister told me, I'm proper longing it out. Basically, a girl who knows the guy, like like his sister or his cousin or whatever, knows a girl. Yeah, I hope I'm not.
It's all mutually, I'm understanding.
Yeah. His cousin, for example, met a girl at the mosque, and the girl said to him, do you know what? I'm really looking forward to becoming a mother. I'm really looking forward to raising my children on the deen. And this cousin of his was like, wow, this looks like a good girl. I'm going to go and tell my cousin who's single and he's looking for a wife. That guy was taken aback by that comment. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, wow, I've been looking for the right spouse and blah, blah, blah. But this one characteristic that sister had draws me to her before I even know her. And I think that's a very important thing to take into consideration.
That's my point when I said in the beginning of our conversation, is that there are certain things you're allowed Islamically to fall in love with.
Yes.
You know, their akhlaq, their character, their iman, their Islam, all these things, not lust.
Yeah.
So it's a nice point that you mentioned.
If I'm honest, the last thing I'll say, this is for the sisters, a good guy will love you for the things you are and do, not the things you look like. And of course, you should be attractive, and so should a guy, and he should take care of himself, and he should look after himself. But I think, for example, for a lot of the good boys in the community and a lot of the guys who are better than me, will look for a sister with good hijab, a sister who respects her parents, a sister who has taqwa, who's conscious of her duties Islamically, a sister who has understanding of the world around her, what's happening in the world, you know, the situation around her, a sister who looks forward to seeing her siblings, younger siblings, because that shows you that they look forward to seeing their own children one day. And things like that are symbolic, and they're representative of what type of mother they'll be, what type of wife they'll be, inshallah, you know, how they'll love you. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any question for me, Ahmed? I just feel like it's fair, like on the spot, but don't scare me.
What would you say to someone who says that they think they love a girl before they've married them, but they've built that based off an online relationship?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that, Ahmed. I generally don't know how to answer that because you don't know the person. Because it's all online, it's all like assumption, because when everything is done online, you only see the good things. So you only hear the sweet talk, or you only see the good pictures, or you only hear, for example, the good things that happened, or if it's the bad things that happened, it's something bad that happened to them, know about them personally. So you don't know their bad side. So falling in love with someone online is a bit...
dangerous waters.
It's dangerous waters because you don't know them really, truly for who they are.
Yeah.
But seeing someone in person is completely different. I know we're youth, and many of us are here in the West. We can be at university, we can be in school, whatever it is, okay? When you physically see someone, you already know their character. You know their manners. You know, for example, if it's a boy, you know the sister's hayat, for example.
Yeah.
you know, for example, their hijab, you know, for example, their upbringing, things like that. Online, you just don't know what's going on.
It's very hard to tell.
Because online,
What you do know is filtered.
online you can be Sayyidah Khadija,
Yeah.
but once they're at home, God knows who they
Someone
are.
else.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for guys, and vice versa applies to the boys.
Of
Yani,
course,
same thing
100%.
if a female is looking for the right man,
Yeah, yeah. Don't fool her.
just please do not fall in love.
Yeah, yeah.
Find the right person to fall in love with.
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. And the last thing I'll say is, if you are looking for a spouse, don't be shy to ask someone trusted. You know, when you want to search, when you become baligh, you have to pick a marja. What do? You ask someone trusted. It's the same with when you are looking for a spouse. You are told to speak to someone you trust, someone who's
And please
respected.
tell someone, I don't know, tell your mom, tell your uncle, your sister, your sibling, your brother, whoever. Just make sure someone knows, because if no one knows, the third is
there's
shaitan.
no shame in.
No, the third is shaitan, I'm telling you.
Yeah, 100%.
Because things can get out of hand, out of
There's
control.
no shame in wanting to get married. There's no shame in asking someone for an impression or an opinion of someone else. You might be a brother and you might see a sister at an event, for example, you know, and hopefully not actively looking, you know, but the idea is you might have heard of someone or been referred to someone. The best thing you could do is, before you introduce yourself to the sister, get a third party opinion, someone you trust who doesn't judge them based off their family reputation or their income or their job or anything like that, but who judges them for their heart, their akhlaq and their deen. Shout out to brother Muhammad Ali, who was on the Racism and Imams podcast we did a long time ago, but he mentioned this point, and I was watching it a few days ago, but he said, if someone comes to the mother of fathers, Rasulullah says, sorry, the mother of daughters, the father of daughters, if a man comes to speak to a father of daughters to seek her hand in marriage, the Holy Prophet says it will cause fitna in the dunya if the proposal is not accepted, if the man is of good akhlaq and good deen. Like, these are the two characteristics that we should be looking for, you know, in a potential spouse. And inshallah, when you found that, you'll be satisfied. You won't look at other girls or other guys. You won't even think about it. Like, it doesn't even cross your mind.
Yeah.
Like, you're satisfied in every way. You're satisfied intimately. You're satisfied emotionally. And even spiritually. Like, you've got someone who will, like, push you and make you grow and think of God and all of that stuff. So, yeah. Like, love is, like, holistic. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not...
I want to add one thing, Ahmed.
Yeah.
If I can. If the viewers, inshallah, find this beneficial, is that if you are in love, and let's say you love someone that no one knows about. Okay. So let's say you're at school. Just a brief example. Let's say you're at university. Okay, you've got like a 3-year degree going on.
Yeah.
Second year in, you really love someone for who they are. Like, you can see them, like, you can see like a future with them. You can see on their deen, you can see their akhlaq, you can see things like that. Yeah, things that tick all boxes.
Yeah.
So as a Muslim, these things attract you because automatically that's how you want to see your future spouse to be, inshallah. And then all you know is, like, for example, you got your mom or dad, they found your recommendation.
Yeah.
And they tell you what? This girl's available, for example. You know, do you want to go meet her? What happens next?
Well, in my opinion, firstly, you should tell your parents when it gets before that stage. Like,
Ahsan, because you can be in love, honest to God. I say this because people speak with me. They're married, but their heart's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because they were too scared or too shy to tell mama or baba, my heart is somewhere else.
Yeah.
First, take that avenue. After, wallah, you know, it's very stupid. Follow your heart. You can hear all these quotes and whatnot. But sometimes, bro, your heart wants what the heart wants. Yani, if you love someone and they're a right spouse, try to take that as a first step. Don't be in love with someone else and then go marry someone else.
No shame.
Bro, that is the worst thing
There's no shame
any
in it.
human being can do.
And it's
because
halal.
you will ruin your spouse, wallahi
Yeah, you're
and
right.
ruin
You're
families,
right. You ruin
and
their
ruin
life.
children, ruin your future.
Yeah. And the point where you find someone that you're interested in, that's why I say, like, it's good to get a third party impression.
My point is, you have to mention it. It's not haram to fall in love. That's the point I'm trying to say.
I know friends who met girls at university that they married, and I know friends who met girls at university that they interacted with or spoke to for marriage but didn't marry. You know, and in all cases, they sought a third party opinion. I have a friend who went to event after event after event, and he came to me one day. He's like, "Do you know this sister?" Like, proper confidentially. I said, "No, I don't know her." He goes, "Do you know anyone who knows her or who's related to her?" I said, "I don't know." What did he do? He asked his auntie in another country. That auntie knew the girl's auntie somehow.
My goodness.
So what happened was, he found out, is she single? Is she looking? What was she considering a spouse? Blah, 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 blah. Which I feel is all the right channels to do.
Yeah.
Then at that stage, you understand, Is she even looking? Should I be looking? You've told your family member, his auntie in this case, that I'm interested in this girl. He's done all the right things before even saying salam to her. Because in my opinion, some may see it's a bit extreme. You don't even know what she sounds like. You don't even know. It doesn't matter. Like, if someone has caught your eye, don't waste time on it. Like, don't be a jerk. Adding them on Instagram, adding them on Snapchat. You know, a lot of boys
Sliding
have gone
in the
through this
DMs.
phase. Yeah, like, don't be long about it. Just jump to the point and do what's right. Don't do what's easy. Don't do what your heart, what's tempting to you. Do what's right.
You know why I remembered? I'm going to mention this as a final note, and inshallah we can end the conversation. Before I did my nikah, ma'aqad, it was like a few months or a few weeks. I can't remember now the exact time frame. My wife right now, I'm remembering now. It just gave me some memories. She asked me, and I think it's a good question to ask people. That goes back to my point now. She was like, "Are you in love with anyone?"
No way.
You know, when I was getting to know my wife,
It's a very good question.
she asked me, "Do you love anyone?" And I actually thought a lot. Like, I've never actually, like, you know, and then I replied, "Yeah." I think her heart dropped at that moment, but I was like, "I love you, Imam Hussein." Wallah, she's like, "Come on,
Oh my God.
See, now everything revolves back to Karbala. But my point is a good question to ask. And it did make me question, because you might think you're ready for marriage. But if your heart is somewhere else, please don't ruin anyone's
Yeah,
life.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
On that note, brothers and sisters, hope you enjoyed the discussion. I know it's obviously past that Valentine's Day date, but hopefully it's relevant. And anything to add to it?
No, just we love you all for the sake of Allah, and subscribe in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
All right, guys, we will see you next week on the After Maghrib Podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.